Respect and love to my seniors, and love and care to my juniors, and hello from Germany. This is Ven Phalañānī speaking from Anenja Vihara, as I said, Germany. I do feel a little bit timid and don't know what to say really, but we agreed to talk about Buddhism and COVID-19. So I try to share my thoughts with you, which of course are mainly here in the community I'm living in. I'm staying with a community of 8. That's 3 Samaneries and 2 Anagarikas and me as a Bhikkhuni, and then we have 2 lay people. And we would have stayed together anyways. So when the announcement came, there's that virus threatening us. We did, of course, feel a little bit threatened, and when the announcement came that we have to stay in isolation, we stayed in isolation. That was just what we always did. That is basically our job, to stay in the monastery in practice. We're not going out much except for alms rounds and so on. Very few teachings here and there, but not much. So for us here as a community, there was from the outside not too much of a difference. We could just do what we are always doing. But there was something changing inside that I noticed within myself, and of course also within the others. And there was kind of a nervous busyness and the thought of, what can we do? And I tried to keep calm and keep everyone here calm in the community by saying, well, we're not medical stuff, we're not supposed to be out there, so let's just do what the government asks us, and what actually the Buddha asked us as well. Let's just stay at the monastery and practice, and let's just not worry. Let's live with what we have as circumstances, and let's not take it as a crisis, because I thought when we take it as a crisis, this whole situation, then we start to have unwholesome thoughts. We start to have anxiety. We start to be irritated, and we start to even more want to do something. And that was a real problem. This wanting to do something, wanting to help, and going to hospitals and all that uproar in the hearts of the people here turned out to be a real disruption, a real disturbance to the daily practice. So in the beginning, I said, well, let's just try not to see this as a crisis. Let's just see it as a challenge of something that really isn't challenging, because we always do it. We practice, we stay here and practice. And we came then inspired by Damit. We came to the conclusion, well, we really want to do something. So we started a 24-hour chanting of the Ratana Sutta. It turned out to be a 36 hours chanting, and we were really inspired, and we really had the feeling that, yes, now we did something. And as you know, the Buddha gave the Ratana Sutta to Anenja because there was a famine and a disease in some town, and the Buddha asked Anenja to walk around that village, sprinkle water and recite that Ratana Sutta. And later in the evening, the Buddha himself gave that Ratana Sutta as a teaching to the public. And they got well. So we try to do the same here. And to our inspiration, one woman came up. She didn't know what we were doing, and she's Christian. And she came up with some things, some foods for us. And she said, I think we in the village, we can really feel that you nuns are here. So she was so happy with us here, and she didn't know what we were doing. So we, in return, felt inspired and thought, well, what next? What can we do? Then we started to sew masks for mouth and nose, to cover mouth and nose for our community out here, who is supporting us very, very well, and for some institutions around us. So far we have sewn about 200 masks, I would say, also for colleagues, nuns and monks, and for ourselves and for the people of our government, and because we are receiving a very, very well support here in this time of COVID. And for us, it's a coming together, further away, but in the hearts, much closer Christians and Buddhists, much closer neighbors and people who never knew us. So we started sewing masks, and by doing that, I remembered, well, actually, I have to be honest, I'm not sewing, I'm just organizing everything that the masks get where they should get. The other nuns are sewing. So, but I thought, well, now we're doing this sewing those masks is an act of compassion, is an act of loving kindness that we do for our safety, for the safety of the people out there, and it keeps us also calm, because we can do something for the people which they wanted, and also we are doing something that prevents that the virus spreads when we wear those masks. So this is something to develop, or where we practice upekkha. This is something where we can practice karuna, and loving kindness. So we started because we would have had a retreat, which we had to cancel, with the topic Brahma Vihara. So we just started to practice them here in our monastery without the people coming, but for ourselves. And we started by trying to develop loving kindness in every single moment, with every single movement of the hand. When we grab something, we try not just to grab it, but we try to grab it with loving kindness, so that when we know we touch it, that we touch it with love. And we decided to walk every single step with the thought of loving kindness, so that when our foots touch the floor, that we don't just step on the ground, but that we step on it like with the mind of loving kindness and knowing there was metta in our hearts. And by doing that, the situation here in the monastery changed so much. There is no more, I would say, anxiety of the situation. There is presently so much spirit, so much good spirit, and that in spite of the fact that our water system broke, and we are now since over a week without water in the monastery, and we need to have supplies of water and food brought from outside, and there is no worry, no complaint, and no anxiety presently among my nuns here. So I'm so happy that fact alone fills me so very much with loving kindness that I just could flow over. And what else can I say? Yeah, well, I can say that I'm very, very happy that I can share that with you. That I can also share the thoughts of compassion, because wearing these masks, when we wear them, when we meet people, or when we can give them to other people and explain them, don't wear them to protect yourself. Wear them to protect somebody else. Spread that compassion. Don't feel silly if you wear that mask, but wear it knowing it's an act of loving kindness and compassion. So the people are starting to love to wear those masks. This also is something, very, very wonderful. So we have, through this so-called crisis, a lot of wonderful things happening around us and within our monastery. And there were a few other things that I wanted to mention, and now I'm talking about. I wanted to mention, I remember when I was in Santi and people were coming, I often spoke of that sutta from the Anguttara Nikaya, where the Buddha speaks to King Pasenadi and said, what would you do, King Pasenadi, if somebody would come from the north or from the south or from the east or from the west and would tell you there are mountains coming, crashing in on you, destroying everything. What would you do? And King Pasenadi said, well, what else could we do? If that were so, then practicing the Dhamma. And this COVID-19 is, of course, a great reminder of one mountain or of one of the how are they called in English again? I'm forgetting it all. The messengers, the divine messengers. Now I got it. So this also is, this COVID is a divine messenger, or is the mountains coming crushing in on us. And also, not only thinking of this, but also thinking of the Ratana Sutta, where we are reminded of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, and where the talk is about becoming stream enterers, or even being arahants and being of such good use for all beings. Then, so this inspired me to just develop much more urgency in practicing the Dhamma, in really sitting down and encouraging also the others to sit down. And this is what I want to encourage you too. Please practice, use your time. Who knows when the mountains coming crushing in on us? So let's use the time now to practice the Dhamma, to practice meditation, to become stream enterers or even arahants. I mean, we should think that it is possible. Otherwise, where would be the inspiration to practice? And then there was one thing that I wanted to mention that is not coming from myself. It's not my own idea, but I want to share it nonetheless. Unfortunately, I can't quote because I can't remember the name, but it was an Indian doctor who wrote an open letter. If I find it later, I will share it. But let me just quote it a little bit as far as I remember it. He said, now the virus, which is a virus from the wealthy people who have wealth enough to travel around the world and buy exotic things. Now this virus is spreading also to the poorest. And remember, you should isolate yourself. Do that. You must if you can. But when you can, remember, you're privileged. Because there are so many people who don't have four walls around them. So know what you have. If you have running water to wash your hands, use it. You must. to not spread the virus. But also remember, you're privileged because there are so many people who can't, because they don't have running water. And I know now what he's talking of, because we can't. He said, if you have access to masks and to medicines, use them, get well, but know that you are privileged. If you have the chance to protect yourself, do that. But know you're privileged, because there are so many people out there who have no whatsoever chance to protect themselves. So not only share your loving kindness, your compassion, there's probably only mudita possible if everyone stays healthy, but share whatever you can with the people out there. And if it's only the Dhamma, do that. Stay healthy, everyone. Be well. Good to see you. Good to talk to you.